Hi, welcome to TWTW, Tech World This Week by JM. Today I have a very special guest, a guest who has an enormous personality and a responsibility towards the growth of this country's future. Because we all know that the future of every country depends on science, uses of science and technology, and driving innovation. My guest today is Professor Dr. Sood. Dr. Sood, great to have you here. Thank you for being with us, and pleasure to be able to talk to you today in your office.
Thank you.
Before I start with the discussion with Professor Sood, let me give you a little bit of a background. It's like, people know about him all over and they know him extensively well. But Professor Sood is an amazing collaboration of applied science and fundamental research, all of them coming together. He's got 2 global patents, 5 Indian patents, and more than 450 publications to his credit. He's also been a professor and head of the department at Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, which he told me that he still has a few students there. So we know that his heart in teaching and academia is very strong. He's created extreme work on graphene and nanotechnology and has done a lot of work in that area. He's also been given by the government Padma Shri and has been recognized by the Royal Society. And I can go on and on. He's got a list of awards, list of papers and publications that have come in. But Dr. Sood, you will tell me soon that let's use nano timing to use more of this. So yes. Thank you very much for your time. We are sitting in his office. So, Professor Sood, let me start this conversation. You obviously have the big role, as you told me before this, that you are encouraging the environment and the government to use technology and the new technologies that are coming on board. In the post-COVID world or during the COVID, we saw significant disruption happening and a lot of advancement of technology. What would be your suggestion, guidance, especially for India and Indian businesses and government to focus on?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on this program. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and science communication is also an integral part of this office to really take our ideas to the public, and in that sense it's this discussion is very timely. Now in COVID, as you said, we had a very rough time, but it also brought out the strength of science and technology for the benefit of society. But for that, we would not have come out of it in less than 2 years. Though we are not fully out of it, but we have a comfort level which we can deal with. Now it has also taught us that when you are looking at these pandemics, you cannot do it in isolation. You have to bring academia, because they will help you to understand this disease predictions. You have to bring in the technology for vaccine technology. You have to bring in technology for PPE kits, masks, everything, and also the startup systems who can really do in a faster manner. So in all these things, we really learnt a lot with this COVID experience. But if you ask me, is it over in true sense? Answer is COVID might be on the decreasing side, but you cannot ignore that we have the threat of monkeypox lurking. We have the threat of lumpy skin disease in cattle. Few days back you had the news. We had African swine fever in pigs, you might have seen. KFD disease, which comes from monkey to humans. All these things are again showing that we have to be worried. So what it means is that we have to take the health in totality. So what our office is now doing is to but to put together a program called One Health Mission. In One Health Mission, we will look at the human health, of course. We will look at the animal health, we will look at the wildlife and the environment, because all are interconnected. So already there are many ministries which are working on it, like DBT, Ministry of Health, we have MOEH, DAHD. So many ministries are already working in it. But what we are trying to do is to see that there is a synergy amongst all these activities, as well as identify the gap areas. So question is, how do we use technology in a way that we are pandemic ready? Which means we should use all the surveillance tools, environmental survey, genetic mapping, whatever you have, vaccine platforms to be ready, so that we don't take 1 year to come up with our preparedness. We are ready. So the whole idea of this One Health mission is to really see totality of the health issues of all these sectors which I said, and also be ready. So the society is also integral part of it. So the social science is not left out, because when you communicate to people, you have to see that you communicate correctly. Like in COVID, we used to have interaction with the experts. That has to be a norm, not only one time one. So the science communication is also important when we come to One Health. So this is one thing I thought could be a good point to start, how our office, Principal Scientific Advisor Office, can play a role in bringing all the science ministries, all the other ministries which are not called so-called science ministries, but they are using science and technology in equal measure, how we bring them together. So our mandate is actually cutting across all ministries, and we work in close collaboration with them.
Thank you, Professor Sood. You mentioned about the importance of technology and innovation. You yourself have come from a very strong academic background. Having been from the business side, as you know, TWTW by JM or the Tech World this week is focused on enabling individuals and businesses to leverage more science and technology for their growth. What would be your guidance, considering there's so much work happening in academia, to businesses, how to leverage this immense pool of research or work for the benefit of business?
Yeah, very beautiful question actually, because it cuts two sides very nicely. So as we all know that academic institutions and the research institutions are really the knowledge creators. This is not only the knowledge for translation, but knowledge per se, and some of the knowledge could be short term applicable, some of them are long term applicable. For example, who thought that geometric algebra will be useful in cryptology? Who thought? But we know that cryptology without mathematics cannot even be imagined. So this also teaches us the importance of basic science, basic fundamental research, with a sensitivity to translate if and when there is a requirement. But in addition, we can also have directed basic research, where means we know where we have to go, like vaccine development. We know we have to develop a vaccine. So whatever is basic science needed, for example, mRNA platform or CRISPR-Cas technology for detection, diagnostic, we have to do that. So this linkage between basic science, academic institutions and technology hubs and industry, all that actually has to be built in the same ecosystem. It cannot be fragmented. Oh, we have done academics, now come here and do it. No, actually we should make effort in coming years that we take all these partners, if possible, right from the beginning to solve a societal challenge. Can we do it? Answer is yes, because there is an enormous preparedness and eagerness also on both sides, not only in academics but also in the business sector, because they also see sustainability has a huge economics. It's not just for
It's not a good thing only.
it's not a good thing alone. It's good thing also for economics. It has been realized. Climate change, such a basic problem, that also has enormous growth potential. So we are already on that path. So there, supposing you want to use these new tools, where Tech Mahindra of course does a lot also in artificial intelligence. Can we be doing this in metaverse technology, which is just coming up? Can we do quantum technologies, which is beginning in Indian scene? We have to catch up a lot on that. Quantum technologies has many aspects, not only quantum computing, quantum communication, quantum sensors, cryptology, quantum cryptology. So all these things are so beautifully opening up now, where the basic science input or fundamental science input is absolutely must, but with enormous potential to really have the products. So this is something where academics should connect, and they are connecting with the industrial world. Startups is one such thing, like deep tech startups in particular, and this is where we think it will be a very beautiful exercise which is happening.
Very good, very good. No, I think you touched upon it very well, Professor Sood. But as the principal scientific advisor, and like you quickly corrected me that it's your job to enable and to encourage the government and the country to adopt some new technologies. Yeah. What are those key tech trends according to you? You touched upon some of them, but what are those 3 or 4 key tech trends that you personally feel will be defining the future?
I think the top of the line in my vision is to enable clean and sustainable energy transition. Key thing, because without that we will not have a bright future. It involves many verticals. It's not just one item, because we need to make this transition, and our Honorable Prime Minister has made a commitment what we will do by 2030, what we will do by 2070, and it is not going to happen of its own. That is clear, which means that we have to take all possible actions in basic science, technology, innovation to have this clean and sustainable energy transition. That is the first thing I will put at the top of the agenda, because it is the survival of the human race in a way, if you think carefully. I mean, when you have this enormous weather fluctuations, enormous disasters which you never heard of 40-50 years back, what is it saying? It is saying, look guys, you are on a danger path. If you don't correct, you will have tough time, and our generations to come will never forgive us. So this clean energy transition has to be done. Then we have to have futuristic digital technologies, as I mentioned. So quantum technology, whether you like it or not, is here to stay. We are in the very beginning of quantum technology, which means go back 50 years when the computer science was coming up, 1985, 1990. And fortunately India was ready in some way. Question you can ask the same question 35 years ahead, now we are here. Are we ready for quantum technologies? It's not going to come overnight, which means we need enormous education potential in this. We need to train our youth, whether it is men or women, with the gender balance in STEM, because without STEM education you cannot do this. So the quantum technology will revolutionize. It is not that the classical things will go away. It doesn't mean that. It means that there will be some niche areas where the country's strategic importance will be challenged if we don't do it. And we cannot depend on people from abroad. We cannot do that in such sector. So futuristic digital technologies, as I said, which will also involve, of course, artificial intelligence. It will involve blockchain, it will involve smart energy storage technologies, it will involve advanced computing, and the list is really there, which we don't have to elaborate on all. This is in the physical world, a technology world, but in other branches also, for example in biological field also, we will have to come up with new ways of vaccination, new ways to do diagnostics, surveillance, as I said. So all this will be the future.
Excellent, excellent. We are celebrating the 75th Independence Day a few days after, on the 15th of August. You have seen how far India came, especially when it comes to science and technology. You've been involved with the premier institute like Indian Institute of Science, and for so many years. What would be your advice to the next generation to help them stay motivated and contribute to India's growth in the coming years?
Yeah, actually it's it's a very deep question. It's not that I am my advice is the only exclusive advice. Everyone's advice is needed. But what is good thing, what I find actually now, is a very positive environment in youth to use science and technology. That, and also the confidence. This Indians have this kar denge, ho jayega. That entrepreneurship confidence has come up in the last many years. So youth have to be positively inclined, not dissipate their energy in things which are unproductive, and also see how with their growth the country grows. Correct. The world grows, it becomes a better place. So all the issues which society is facing now, be it in climate change, be it in water shortage, be it in disasters, question is youth have to see where they can be the part of the solution, not part of the problem. It's very easy to criticize. Actually, if you have nothing better to do, you can sit down and criticize anyone. That's not the point. Point is how to be really positively engaging with society. So my request to youth will be positively engaged and see in what way you can contribute to the society. It will also help you. You will not be left alone. It's not that you have to be selfless. You can be selfish to a point that you have to survive. Obviously, we have to survive. But at the same time, think of a bigger picture. Think that you are not only working for yourself, but you are also working for the upliftment of the society.
Very true, very true. And there are so many right examples today where the youth has committed and proven that you could probably make an impact.
Absolutely.
Towards this, there's, and connected to this somehow, though I don't think it is limited to, youth and startups seem to connect. But with the influx of several tech startups and the new innovative ideas that are coming together, how important do you think, Professor Sood, the startup ecosystem, the infrastructure and the growth, we today are the third largest, to the overall growth of the economy and the country?
Yeah, actually what you have asked is an extraordinarily contemporary issue, and this is one way to really involve our youth. We should not be looking at government sector alone for jobs, because the startup ecosystem, as you know more than me, 6.4 lakh jobs have been created in the startup and almost 30 lakhs indirectly. 6 lakhs are direct. You can't even have any doubt on that. Now this is not only, this is 70,000 startups as you said, or 75,000 in 75th year, and the growth has happened in the last few years, and you have more than 100 unicorns already in place and more will come up. We have to make sure with our policy decisions that they really sustain themselves. They should not wither away. We have to make sure that the startups in India, they do not become disillusioned and move somewhere else. We have to guard against that, which means we need to think of what policy interventions are needed, what incentives are needed, what is the way to make sure that there are less bureaucratic hurdles. So the startup system has started in true sense, but that's not the end. For me, actually, it's the beginning of a revolution. And in that revolution, we must make sure that the hurdles do not discourage people. And that is somehow we have to see. So when our Honorable Prime Minister said that technology innovation will define the future, and we need to be strong in that future endeavor. He said few years back. It means that we have to do everything possible to make sure that the startup culture really grows, not only in the startups which may not need high technology. Some technology is always needed, I don't mean that. But deep tech technology we should not ignore, because a country cannot be dependent only on the service sector. Service sector is important and we should not ignore either. But for the position of a country in the world, deep tech startups is a must. Now in deep tech startup there will be many issues. I am not belittling any of the difficulty. What can we do? There's all the high-end equipments which are needed. What can we do? So in our office we started what is called iSTEM, that all the available facilities which have been created by government funding, we have put them on a platform. That platform is called iSTEM. It is done by Indian Institute of Science. Our office is driving it. That is one thing where the startups can be helped. Other thing which we have done, which is again in the direction, how can we bring all the STI information across the country on one platform, the data. Now that is not easy. There are happening in pockets. We are putting together now a program in place from our office where anyone can access what happened in this area, what happened in that area. That is important for startups, because startups should know what technology to champion, which one will really survive, which has the TRL level 5, which has the TRL level 7, not TRL level 1, which more likely to fail. So this is the way not only our office but all the people involved in the S&T ecosystem should work together. And equally important is the private industries, because they are no different. Like they have to see how to nurture the startups. So nurturing startups is a must. So and that we have to make sure that they succeed.
Absolutely. And I think, like someone said the other day, that the biggest challenge that our country today has is to ensure that the old school of brain drain was where people were going abroad. This brain drain is to lose out that confidence and the energy that they have created. We shouldn't lose that. That would be a bad situation, a brain drain. But I'm thinking that your office, government, private sector, all of us encouraging that and seeing the policies encourage it, I think it's on a good path, as you said.
I think so. I think it's a very, very positive atmosphere, and private sectors have come together in many ways actually in our in my office when we deal with it, and we have a full division on it called Strategic Alliance Division, which really interfaces academia, startups and industries together. We have created many centers of excellence in academic institutes like IITs and ISC and NCBS with private money.
Oh, excellent.
So you can't think of a better model.
No, I think you've answered that question about the importance of public and private sectors
Yeah,
coming together to
and
solve
also
this.
these centers of excellence are on different topics.
Yeah.
Some are doing waste management, some are doing water related issues, some are doing artificial intelligence, some are doing machine learning things. So this is the way I think we have to see. Government of course is involved because these academic institutes have their basic support from them. But question is, can we bring in all other players in that?
No, very true. And I think, we could just be, it's such an encouraging conversation that we could just go on and on. I know you've got a fair set of meetings lined up. I'm going to round up with a slightly more personal type question. The PSA's office obviously is a very busy office. You told me that and we know it. You work with the Prime Minister's office and directly work with the Prime Minister. So obviously, and with our Honorable Prime Minister's focus so much on science, technology and innovation, I'm sure there is not too much time left in the day. But if there is, what is Professor Ajay Sood's relaxation moments? What is its hobbies? What's Professor Ajay Sood beyond work?
Difficult question, because I didn't think of, see, for me, actually I don't get tired easily, because what I am doing now or what I was doing before I came to this office when I was in Indian Institute of Science, for me this is really work, thinking, innovation, very fundamental things is somehow a relaxation to me.
Rejuvenates you.
Rejuvenates. It's like playing chess. Chess is very mind engaging, but people who play get relaxed.
Correct.
But on that, no, I'm not saying that I only do that, but for me, when just to have long walks with music on the side, so and alone, not chatting. Not chatting endlessly, no. I like to walk by my own self with the background music is very relaxing to me. So if I have to see I don't even think of that. For me, walking and going to gym and all it's quite a refreshing thing. So I'm not saying that other things are not, but in last few years, all other forms are really not there of. But this is something I find nicely engaging.
That's very nice and very true. Thank you very much, Professor Sood. It's such an honor to host you and talk to you.
Thank you so much.
It's going to be extremely encouraging for our audience and for them to understand that today at TWTW Tech World this week by JM, we are talking to one of the luminaries of science and technology and such a humble personality. But more importantly, the messages that he gave, which was about primarily don't lose the energy for the youth, focus on some of the key technologies like quantum, metaverse, blockchain, AI and data science. They're going to define the future. Define the fact that there is a huge amount of opportunity for academia, for private sector to work together, and the fact that there is so much enablement that the PSA's office and this team is trying to do to make sure that they are coming together. So our future does seem quite bright, and it's all for us as we get into the Independence Day week, is to make sure that we realize that the bigger independence is creating and growing businesses and creating a better future for the country. Thank you, Dr. Sood.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure talking to you.
Talking to you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.